I climbed and climbed. Where is the peak, my lord? I plowed and plowed. Where is the knowledge treasure, my lord? I sailed and sailed. Where is the island of peace, my lord? Almighty, bless my nation with vision and sweat, resulting. This poem is named The Vision. Can you guess who is the poet of this poem? Yes, it is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He was not only a great scientist but also a true statesman. Can you name a few people who were scientists as well as a statesman? Yes, Albert Einstein, Dr. Homi Bhabha. There are so many. But among all these, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam will be remembered for years to come. As a child, Kalam scored average grades but was a bright and hard-working student. He had a strong desire to learn. During his life tenure, he not only developed low-cost coronary stent along with the cardiologist Somu Raju, but also developed calipers which were only 300 grams compared to 4 kg calipers. These calipers are used by children who are affected by polio. He was noted for his integrity and simple lifestyle. He did not even own a television. Last year, you've already read the novel Dreams to Reality. We have seen how hard he has worked to achieve the great successes in his life. There are so many qualities that we can instill in our lives. In spite of all the successes that he achieved, he still remained a very humble man and loved to be known as a teacher. He was responsible for the evolution of ISRO's launch vehicle program. He received honorary doctorates from 30 universities and other institutions. He was responsible for the development of the nuclear energy, which made us quite strong as a nation. In return, he was named as the Missile Man of India. He has been awarded Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, and the highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna. He has worked tirelessly and devoted his life completely to the nation. He was a true and complete Indian. Dr. Kalam became the 11th President of India. His birthday, that falls on 15th October, is now celebrated as Youth Renaissance Day. It's a contribution to this great leader. Today, we'll have a short peek into Kalam's life. This excerpt, My Childhood, is taken from his book Wings of Fire. Besides being a scientist, this great personality played Veena, has authored books like Wings of Fire, India 2020, A Vision for the New Millennium, Ignited Minds, Unleashing the Power Within India, My Journey, and so on. He has even written a few poems. So, in his lifetime, he was a poet, a writer, scientist, scientific advisor, statesman, a musician, people's president, as well as will always be remembered as Missile Man of India. Dr. Abdul Kalam was born in a middle class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram. Rameshwaram is a pilgrimage site with ornate corridors, highly sculpted pillars, and sacred water tanks. It is known for the temple of Ramanatha Swami. His father's name was Jainalabdin, who was the imam at the mosque. He was a simple person. He did not receive any kind of formal education, nor was he too rich. But this did not affect his inborn wisdom or the generous nature. That is, he was wise as well as generous. His mother, Ashiyamma, was an ideal helpmate. Kalam remembers that they used to have many visitors in those days. His mother would prepare food not only for the family members but even for outsiders, where the outsiders' number used to be more than the family members. He was the youngest among the five children, and there were no remarkable features of Kalam as a young boy. He was just a short boy, whereas his parents had undistinguished looks. They were tall and handsome. They lived in an ancestral house which was built in the 19th century. It was a pakka house made of limestone and brick. On the it was on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. His father, Jainuluddin, was very strict and he avoided the unwanted comforts and luxuries, but looked to the fact that they were given food, medicine, or clothes, whatever was needed. His mother and grandmother would tell the stories of their family of, of the Ramayana and the life of Prophet. He was specifically trained by the figures of authority, that is, from his parents. He inherited honesty and self discipline from his father. That is, he learned the qualities of honesty and self discipline from his father, whereas from his mother, he inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness. These qualities were also followed by his other siblings. This was a foundation of Kalam's simple living and high thinking. Hence, he says that he had a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. Basic necessities and comforts helped him to move towards his dreams. When Kalam was 8 years old, the Second World War broke out, and suddenly there was a demand for tamarind seeds in the market. During the Second World War, tamarind seeds were ground down and roasted to make tamarind kernel powder. It is used as a sizing agent for textiles like jute and cotton. And the other reason was it was a major fuel for producer gas, that is gasogen, that powered Indian cars and trucks during this Second World War. That is why tamarins were in a great demand. But Kalam failed to understand it as he was a very young boy. So, as a young child, his job was to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on Moss Street. Collecting seeds for a day would fetch him 1 anna. 1 anna is 1/16th of a rupee, and in those days it was a precious sum. His brother in law, Jalaluddin, he would tell the stories of war. Later, Kalam would search for the headlines in the newspaper Dinamani. Initially, the area, that is Rameshwaram, was unaffected as it was a remote area in those days. But later on, even Rameshwaram was affected by the World War. That is, the train halt at Rameshwaram station was suspended. Now, the newspapers, bundled one, had to be thrown out from the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanuskodi. Kalam, being agile and very young, helped his cousin Samsuddin to catch the bundles that were thrown out of the moving train. This is how he earned his first wages. This sense of pride of earning his first wages is still felt by him even after 50 years. He recalls his three close friends, Ramananda Shastri, Arvindam, and Shiva Prakasan. All the three boys were from Orthodox Hindu Brahmin families, but none of the child felt any difference amongst themselves because of their religious differences and upbringing. Ramananda Shastri, he was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, the highest priest of the Rameshwaram temple. Later in life, he took over the priesthood of the Rameshwaram temple from his father. Arvindam later went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Sivaprakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railways. Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam was an annual ceremony in Rameshwaram. Kalam's father was a ferryman, so his family used to arrange boats for a with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site that was situated in the middle of the pond called Ramatirtha. It was close to Kalam's house. Kalam's family used to be part of this ceremony. Kalam recalls an incident that happened in his life. Every evening, his father, A.P. Jainulabdin Lakshmana Shastri, the head priest of the Ramanatha Swami Hindu temple, and a church priest. These three people used to sit sipping hot tea and discuss the issues concerning the island. This early exposure strengthened Kalam's respect for other faiths and traditions. He fondly said, "For great men, religion is a way of making friends. Small people make religion a fighting tool." Then he remembers a day when he was in fifth standard. He studied in Rameshwaram Elementary School. One fine day, a new teacher came to their class. Abdul Kalam used to sit with Ramananda Sastri in the first row. Kalam used to always wear a skull cap, and that marked him as a Muslim. Ramananda Shastri, he wore a sacred thread. The new teacher could not tolerate a Hindu priest's son sitting next to a Muslim boy. Hence, the teacher asked Kalam to sit on the back bench. Both the boys were very sad. Kalam obeyed. He went and sat in the last row. But Ramananda Shastri could not tolerate it and he started crying. His weeping face made a lasting impression on Kalam. After school, both the boys went home and told their respective parents about what happened in school. In his presence, he ordered him not to spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. The teacher realized his mistake. He regretted his behavior. Lakshmana Shastri conveyed a strong sense of conviction, a strong sense of belief that reformed the young teacher. In those days, Rameshwaram was a small town, a small society with very rigid segregation of different social groups. He fondly remembers his science teacher, Siva Subramanya Iyer. This teacher was an orthodox Brahmin, a strict follower of the religion as well as the beliefs, with a very orthodox wife, that is, conservative wife. Both were orthodox. They believed in their religion as well as their faith. But he was sort of a rebel. His sole motto was to unite people in spite of the various faiths and the social backgrounds. He wanted people from various backgrounds to mingle easily. Subramanya Iyer used to spend hours with Kalam and would say that he wanted Kalam to develop to such an high level that he is at par, that is much better than the highly educated people of the big cities. One day, he invited Kalam to his home for food. Wife was horrified at the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dine in her ritually poor kitchen. She refused to serve Kalam in her kitchen. His science teacher, Shivasubramanya Iyer, was not perturbed at all, nor did he show any kind of anger on his wife. But instead, he served Kalam with his own hands and sat down next to him, eating his meal. The teacher's wife watched them from behind the kitchen door. She was impressed by the way he ate rice, drank water, and at last cleaned the floor after the meal. When Kalam was leaving the house, his teacher invited him to join him for dinner again for the next weekend. Kalam hesitated, but teacher told him not to get upset. He rightly said, once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be met, have to be confronted. When Kalam visited his house the next week, the teacher's wife herself took him inside her kitchen and served him food. The Second World War was over, and India achieved its freedom. Gandhiji declared Indians will build their own India. The whole country was filled with an unprecedented optimism. By then, Kalam had grown up and had to leave Rameshwaram to go to Ramanathapuram for his higher education. He asked his father for permission. His father encouraged him. He said he did know that he has to go one day once he grows. He gives the example of seagull which flies alone in the sky. It doesn't even have a nest. That is, he has to leave his family to grow. Kalam, being the youngest and the most loved one, his mother was a bit hesitant. But his father quoted Khalil Gibran's verse. The poet says that your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. The underlying meaning of these words is that we cannot dominate on the children's thinking. They have their own life, they have their own desires to fulfill. Then on, he never stopped in his life. He met challenges, failures, success, and always worked in the interest of the country. I would suggest you all read the books written by Dr. Kalam. Thank you. Yeah.